The Cowboys are visiting the Philadelphia Eagles to open up the 2025 NFL season. It is the first game of the new year, and it is Dallas at Philly. Who you got winning that one for me? Then we'll break this down more in depth. C for the Cowboys, E for the Eagles. This was the first formal official announcement as it relates to who is going to play on the Thursday night kickoff special. It is the Cowboys at Philadelphia. It is another game in which the Cowboys have played on the road to open up the season. They did against the Bucs a couple years ago. Early lines already available for that 8:20 p.m. Eastern time kick out in Philly. 7-point favorites. The Eagles open up at the over-under set at 46.5. That is a sizable spread advantage in favor of Philadelphia, which the Cowboys are kind of a top 12 pick. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. I think that kind of makes some sense. Two elements that kind of sound here. Number one, by the way, at least you don't have to go to Philadelphia in December. So if you want neutral game weather advantage, actually probably work for both sides, frankly. I think that is something worth mentioning there. And, knock on wood, we actually get the Dak versus Jalen Herz quarterback matchup. Dak in his games against the Eagles when starting is 9-4. Of note, one of those games was he threw like 4 passes or eight passes, and like they played a drive and a half and then called it and pulled him because the game was over. It was a inconsequential game. So it's really more like 9-3. Hertz is 4-3, but one of those he threw like 1 pass. So like, yeah, he's really more like 3-3. But these two have only played each other as the starters 3 times. That's it. Even though we've got potential 10 games a year plus wildcard stuff, right? 2020, Dak missed both those games. 2021, Dak went 1-0. Hertz missed the other one. 2022, Dak and Hertz both missed a game, so they didn't get to play each other, which is kind of funny. They split in 2023, and of course, then Dak missed both these games this year. So for the first time in over a year, and for just the 4th time ever, in theory, knock on wood, it's actually going to be the Cowboys and Eagles have their quarterbacks healthy and starting. That hasn't happened a lot with these particular 2 QBs who have emerged as some of the better ones in the NFL. So who do you think is the better QB? DP for Dak Prescott, JH for Jalen Hertz. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Sure, those comments won't be divisive at all. Turpin's role is what I want to discuss next year. Landon Holyfield, I think that's how you pronounce your name there. Sorry, Landon. Over at Athlon. Had I think a pretty good look at what could they do with KaVontae Turpin this upcoming year? I think there's a couple elements the Cowboys hopefully figured out last year. One of which was they did have some success putting Turpin in the backfield. And I don't think he has the frame at all, frankly, to hold up as a every down player and be an actual running back. He is extremely undersized. Even for NFL players, even for the small NFL players, he's listed at 5'9". He's actually a bit less than 5'9". 153. You can't give him the ball a dozen times on carries. The body will not withstand. I think you can find ways, though, to get him a little bit more than a carry, 8 catch and a half through the air. This is what Brian Schottenheimer said, by the way, earlier this offseason on Turpin. I think he's a dynamic weapon. I can't separate the growth and the understanding of the football scheme over the last few years. The game-changing plays he's made for us, dynamic weapon. There's really nothing he can't do. We're moving him in positions that 2 years ago we would think, I don't know if that would work out. Incredible talent, but it's awesome to see him maturing as a football player. I think weapon is a good term for someone like KaVontae Turpin. It's not just receiver or slot or return guy. When the ball is in his hands, he's shown some very good stuff. I think he's also more of a specialized weapon, or just weapon in general. You have to know how to use him properly. You should probably have some training for how to use this. Otherwise, bad things can happen or unideal things can happen. We'll come back to that more in depth here in just a second, but the Tyler Booker rookie jerseys and 2025 NFL draft gear for the Cowboys is available. Chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. It includes the hats, by the way, as well, and even a hoodie that they dropped this year for the brand. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's chatsports.com/Cowboys draft. As it relates to Turpin, I would prefer fewer designed deep shots. I don't think those work. I don't think throwing it up to your 5'7.5", 153-pound receiver on vertical downfield threats, especially when it's up on the outside, is a good idea. If you think you can catch him off guard on a slot fade, sure. I would like to get him going on some crossers. I'm always a little bit frustrated with how little this team actually runs mesh. They ran it a little bit more in the red zone last year. The Tolbert touchdown, for example, was a mesh concept. Like, why can't you just let those two? Why can't you let him go underneath and run mesh and use his speed there? The Cowboys did unlock something with him in the ground game. I am curious how much that gets deployed. I would love to see more motion in general with the offense. I think that is an additive feature. And I think if you're using Turpin as the motion player, that does demand attention from the defense. When you're using Jalen Brooks as the motion player, I don't think teams really care about that. I think that motion for the sake of motion is not good. It's not bad, but it doesn't actually add anything to you. So when you can use good motion with Turpin, others, I think Lamb fits that category. I'm not sure who else on the roster receiver fits that group, by the way. Use it more. And we also know he's that dynamic return man. I think even more than anything else for Turpin this upcoming season, these kickoff rule changes, I think significantly benefit. We mentioned that on a video earlier in the offseason, how they're going to try to force more actual returns from teams, not to kick it off into the end zone. That's going to get more chances for Turpin to get the ball in his hands. If the kick returns go from 1.5 per game to 2.5, it's actually extremely valuable then. So predictions. How many touchdowns does KaVontae Turpin end up scoring this year for the Cowboys? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I also want to mention a potential Cooper Beebe breakout here. PFF, Pro Football Focus, naming Beebe as the top breakout candidate for the Cowboys after the NFL draft, as he now gets to be bookended by the Tylers with Smith and Booker alongside of him. Beebe last year, overall, I thought showed some good stuff. 3 sacks, 5 hits, 10 hurries. The run blocking grade was solid. Only 3 penalties. I think one thing to monitor, and this is, before I get to this, I am cherry picking. Let me acknowledge right now, I am cherry picking when to do the cutoff here. But the first 9 games for Cooper Beebe in 2024 versus the final 7 games. 3 sacks allowed versus 0. 5 hits allowed versus 0. 6 hurries versus 4. The run blocking grade individual games, because I don't have the ability to filter it. 82.4 versus 74.9, and 2 of those 7 games were higher run blocking grades from Beebe than his high in the previous 9. 0 penalties to 3. He clearly was a better football player as the year went on. They also kind of tweaked the offense to get the ball out as soon as humanly possible, so the sacks and hits and hurries should have gone down in general, but I do think in the offensive line, and Beebe as a key factor in that, did play better as the year went along. Another year of development should only benefit Cooper Beebe. This is very much arrow pointing upward for the Cowboys' young starting center. That interior of the offensive line, in a division chock full of talent on the interior of the defensive line, that interior O-line is going to have to be incredibly talented, play well, and they have invested the amount of assets into it to make that happen. Now, we'll have more Cowboys videos for you guys all off-season long. We will have, by the way, as well, the schedule release for you guys Wednesday evening. I think it's 2 years in a row, maybe 3 actually, I'm not sure. That Cowboys schedule has leaked early, and we've been able to get to it for you guys. So make sure those notifications are turned on. Don't miss out. We'll break down the schedule release once that happens. The next metric milestone, by the way, 1,600 here on the Cowboys Report. We're 732 subs away. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now.